Hi, everybody. Long time no see. So, I am now back in the United States. I arrived yesterday evening. It is about, it's 5 a.m., my normal wake up, anyways. Um, but I arrived yesterday around 2013, so 8:13 p.m. From St. Vincent into Miami. A friend of mine, who I consider to be a sister, picked me up from the airport and was able to drive me directly to Cleveland Clinic in Weston, where I have been admitted. Um, so, yeah, I'm here. I have my stuff in here where I'm being treated. So, they have both sides right now. I've been given antibiotics. Yeah, my raccoon eyes are back. I've been having real bad allergies. I've had in the last 72 hours, I've gone into anaphylaxis 3 different times. So we don't know the cause again. So it is what it is with me having a diagnosis of idiopathic anaphylaxis. It's what it is. I think it may just be because my immune system is just a little tired. So my hope is that we will be able to get more funding. So far, we've raised 125 out of the 20,000 that's needed, and I need you guys' help to continue to spread the word and help us come up with more funding so that I'm able to cover the expenses here. I've literally emptied out all my accounts. I'm down to $25 left now on my credit card. So I have nothing else left, you guys. As a matter of fact, my 2 bank accounts are actually overdrafted. So I'm even more negative now than what I was before because I had to get home. I had to purchase tickets to get here due to the fact that my health literally has been declining in St. Vincent. And my doctor was like, my St. Vincentian physician was letting me know that he felt that I needed to get off island as soon as possible because I needed urgent treatment that they just could not provide for me there, especially with me having so many allergies and my autoimmune conditions and so forth. So I was cleared this morning and on the plane at the airport by 1 and on the plane by 5:45 with my arrival getting here when it did. And then like I said before, directly to me and my daughter. My daughter, with, you know, my friend, they brought me directly to the hospital. And then she took my daughter to go stay with my sister while I remain here to get treatment. And then I have to figure out what we're going to do since the person I'm supposed to be staying with really doesn't want me to be. She's overwhelmed and doesn't want to take on the burden of having to be responsible for myself and Hadassah on top of all the other things that they have going on, which I can respect that. And I'm not even mad about that. So it's just now that means I'm in a different situation. I'm trying to find other avenues and not have to I'm going to I'm going to speak with the VA and look at seeing that once I get discharged from here, I have to set up other appointments, treatments, and surgeries. And I want to find out from the VA if I'll be able to stay at what we call the Fisher House for veterans that come into the area for out of town, out of country, that have nowhere to go, but you have to do your appointments and all that stuff, which I have a lot of appointments that I still got to get done. I have to get my annual, I got to get shot vaccines and other treatments and stuff, get my machines updated and just everything that I need to do with them. And then, yeah, once all that stuff is done and I'm recovered, then I need to get my ticket and get back to St. Vincent healthy and start doing what I need to do. So, yeah, that's my goal, guys. So here's the thing. Here's what I've realized because I've been reflecting and being a medical student. You start, as you learn, you start to go over and go through what you're going through. At least for me, I do because I've always been one to research. And what I've figured out is this. When I originally arrived on the island back in last year, I got there in November. I was fine, but I didn't go with my IVIG. It hadn't been set up. We were trying to get it set up, but we were having a hard time getting approval. I was running into hiccups left and right with the VA to cover it. They approved to cover it, but then the insurance that's supposed to cover it for the VA didn't cover it. They just kept denying the treatment. So that meant I wasn't able to get the Hyzendra that I needed to continue with my IVIG. And I couldn't get any of the equipment or anything like that. So I had to empty out the little bit of savings that I had to get my needles, my pump, my tubing for the pump, the pole, all of that. I had to pay for all that equipment and stuff out of my own pocket. So because of that, it had already started me off on a set back. That safety net that I had financially was relatively gone. I spent like well over $6,000 in medical supplies alone. And I still have to get additional medical supplies here this time around before I head back. I have to get the same, I have to get, without getting a pump, I have the pump. I just got to get the tubing, the needles and all of that stuff. I have to get all the things that I need to have on island to do my treatment because again, I can't get those particular supplies there. I have to get everything here while I'm here and then make sure that I have enough supplies for at least 6 months. And ironically, the supplies that I had lasted me 6 months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Actually, no, it lasted me 9 months. And that was with me being sick as often as I was. So I think the downhill for my health started when I went there, and I wasn't on IVIG, which meant my autoimmune conditions, multiples, were able to just run a bit rampant. And that lowered my immune system and opened me up for constant infections. So I literally got sick while I was there. I picked up the flu or something from someone that was there. They ended up with like a little light cold that kind of wrecked them a little bit, but I ended up in a hospital. And then I was kicked off the island because it literally stimulated my whole system to go wacko. So then I came back. And I just bit the bullet, like I said, and just purchased everything that I needed. And then we were able to get me on the treatment, started the treatment, and then was taught how to do what I had to do. And then once that was all done, I left. I went back. I completed my MD1 and then started MD2. And then started MD2 January, March. I want to say May, the beginning of May. And I got sick. And I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. And so I got back April, then I got sick again in May. Again, I had just restarted IVIG, so my system hadn't quite caught up. And I was like, wow, this is wrecking me again. This is ridiculous. And then got better. No, I didn't get sick. I mean, what happened was I started having anaphylactic responses that just kept happening over and over again. So I think it was just my system trying to reset itself, but it was resetting itself in a way that I was going into anaphylaxis and I was having like facial swelling and my face was like swollen, like all swollen and all of that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. And then I caught dengue within weeks. I had a couple of days. I had like 3-4 days I was out of school for anaphylaxis. Then, no, I was out for a week for anaphylaxis because I wanted to make sure that it was fully under control. Because for me, when my anaphylaxis is triggered, it is a long process. I re-trigger. I'll keep re-trigger within the same day if I'm not on prednisone or something to tamp me down. So that's one of the issues I had. And then the next bit of issues that I had was once everything was all said and done, it was like, okay, great, I'm better. I went back to school and I had caught up. We were like midterms or something like that. I was like, yeah, I missed most of the first term, but now we're at midterms. Let me go in, take my exams. And I went in and I took an exam. And as I was sitting in my desk finishing up that exam, I realized I started assessing my body because I was like, wow, my joints are hurting really, really bad. Like I have the flu. And it went from that to me burning up that evening. I had a 105 temp, and that just kept getting higher and higher. And yeah, the I was out of my mind to the point where I felt death coming for me. So because of how high the temperature, my temperature was, and then from that point forward, it was a battle just to get my system to like come around. And I had like 3 occasions where I could have died seriously because of how high my temperature was and how rapidly the temperature had changed and the consequences with that, the aching and the shaking and the hard to breathe and all of that stuff. But the blessing I had was that I had medical equipment of my own that I brought with me. And so I just made sure that I stayed and did the treatment that I needed to do. And treatment for dengue is fluids and rest. That's all you can really do. Ibuprofen, Tylenol doesn't really work. I can't really take them anyways. It actually can make it worse. They have something that's like similar to Tamiflu, but it's for dengue. But by the time my doctor, who was off doing services out in St. Lucia, by the time he responded to me, it had already been 3, 4 days. It had already been past the number of days that you needed. He didn't respond to me until like 4 or 5 days later. And so the time frame window had already passed for the other type of treatment. So that just left me with fluid and water. And then because I don't respond like the typical person, I don't build titers very well because, again, my autoimmune is a little bit dysfunction. He was looking for the titers, but then he just had to go based on symptoms and diagnosed with the dengue. And then they diagnosed me with post-dengue complications because my white blood cells, my platelets, everything, and my red cells, my everything was just gone. So then he said that he felt like there's something wrong with the bones, and the bones is what's going to produce and help produce the red, the whites, and all those granulocytes and leukocytes and all that stuff, I guess. And so I was like, okay, whatever. This sucks. And so I was like, okay, well, fine. But then I started noticing every time I did my infusion, which involved me to access my port, I would get sick. And I would have like relapses with the same feelings of the dengue. So then I said, well, is it possible that my port was infected with dengue since I had dengue fever during that time? And he was like, no, you should be fine. Da, da, da. So we would run cultures, would come back negative, by blood that is, come back negative, but it would show that, well, negative for what it was. It would just come back and say that, yeah, there's something wrong with your platelets and everything like that, but it still wasn't showing the infection. And that's because, again, typically when I get sick, I don't have a white blood response right away. So, and most times when they do a complete blood count, one of the markers that they look for whether or not you have an infection, the markers is they're looking at your leukocytes, they're looking at your granulocytes, they're looking at your white blood count, and none of that stuff was showing much of nothing at the beginning. And then all of a sudden it just started showing. Oh, sorry, I take it back. My platelets at that point were showing up as non-existent, like almost a zero. I think you have to have thousands or something like that. And I was like at 30. So it wasn't enough to count. Sorry to say, not sorry to say that's, the reality of it. So, because of that, I started having them come in. I would have the phlebotomist come in and take my blood, and I'd run my blood every other week. Every time I would do an infusion, I have them run it. I would have them draw blood and check it because, like I said, my symptoms were a bit much. And after 2 months post dengue, that was when the epidermis, the Staphylococcus epidermis, showed up in my blood. It showed up in my port. And so that was when and everything else was still continuing. So I notified my physicians here in the US what was going on. I sent them the labs, and then my doc here was like, well, you need to talk to infectious diseases because they're the ones, that's the department that needs to handle it. I said, oh, that's fine. I have a doc there too, because again, with my rheumatic fever, that falls underneath infectious diseases, and that's who's treating me. So I let them know, hey, this is what I have. I have dengue. Here's what my labs look like. And going over that information, it was determined that, yeah, hey, you need to come home. You don't need to look, I don't get to pass go, don't get to collect $200. They wanted me to come home and come directly to the hospital for admission to have my port removed. Because once it's infected, there's a biofilm or something that's created, is what I was told. And that makes it to where no bueno, it's not good for you. And it just keeps festering. So they're going to take that out. They're going to go and remove my port probably tomorrow. Today, because it's already tomorrow. They're going to probably remove the port, I was told, later today. They're going to have me see cardio because my thing over here, when they do my blood pressure and monitoring my heart and stuff, and you guys know the palm and the stuff that I have in my palms that showed up in the pain there. One of the two docs that I've seen said that he said that that's a sign of echocarditis. So they want to get in and check my heart, and because I've already had damage that was caused by the rheumatic fever, they want to see if that's why my blood pressure is being psychotic now. Because my blood pressure is normally in the regular range. It's not in the normal range anymore. It's running where my the top number is running normal to high, and then the bottom number is just straight high, meaning it's over 100. And that has all been a recent change, because I wasn't having any of that issue before. So he said that could be that reasoning is because prolonged infection and septicemia can also cause damage to the valves of the heart. It can inflame the heart. So they're going to check on it, do an echocardiograph and additional testing, and just try to get me better. So far I've received fluids, I've received antibiotics. They actually came in, the nurse had to come in here and wake me up because I have sleep apnea. So I had stopped breathing. So she came in here and woke me up and was like, you weren't breathing. She goes, you had 0 breaths going on there for a minute and the alarm's going off, but it wasn't triggering, I guess, me to breathe. So I was like, my response when I woke up was, I have a CPAP. So they set my CPAP up, which is what was in the photo earlier, is that CPAP. Me wearing my mask, which I'm about to put back on and go back to sleep. But I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on. So to those who have already donated, thank you. But please understand my situation. We still need additional donations to help me get back on track, please. I need as much help as I can get. And I appreciate everyone. Prayers, I will take them. Any type of donations that will help me be able to get back to St. Vincent, so that I can go back to doing what I was doing before, which is have a flight set up. So when I go to St. Vincent, always have a flight set up to return, and keep an open ticket, as we say, so that if there's another emergency that shows up, there'll be an open ticket. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I thought I had an open ticket, but I must have already used it or something. But I thought I had an open ticket, but apparently I didn't. So that meant I had to come out of pocket So the last little bits of money that I had that just came in, I took that money and bought my ticket. And yeah, it was more expensive because it was 2 tickets, one direction, and it's last minute. So we had to, I purchased a ticket on Tuesday, and we had to fly out on Thursday. Had I Wednesday didn't have any flights out. It had no flights to where I was going with the airline that I use. And then I'm sorry, and then I take it back. They had room in first class, and that even in economy, the tickets were well over $1,000 per person. I do not have that kind of money at the moment, and we've only raised so far 125 out of the 20,000 I still need to raise. So yeah, I didn't have enough to do what needed to be done, guys. So now it's that season. I'm hoping that people will take into account that this time of year and are able and willing to just donate to help with everything that I have going on moving forward. Blessings unto you all. Oh, yes. And let me say this, guys. I have had multiple people ask me, how do I keep going with all the stuff that I got going on? Do medical school, constant chronic conditions, and still stay positive. And I told them it's just my personality. My personality is not going to allow me to quit. And I don't like sitting in my depressions or my darkness. I think for many people that go through medical challenges, I think our mindsets will cause life, and they can also cause death. So I choose life, and I continue to choose to fight. So I would like to continue to fight. So if you would continue to help me with that, I'd greatly appreciate it, you all. And I'm hoping with this season, this time of year, that we'll be able to raise the funds, and maybe even go beyond the goal, because I actually lowered the goal. I actually needed it closer to 30,000, but I lowered it to 20,000. So I'm just hoping that we'll be able to raise past the amount so that I'm able to cover the expenses that I have to cover with my medical, get all the equipment and stuff that I need, and get all that stuff shipped back with me to St. Vincent, so I have everything that I need to stay healthy. And then keep me in your prayers that they'll be able to locate the infection and that we'll be able to treat it. And maybe I can get out of here within the week, and they can have one of the two surgeries that one of the two procedures or two of the two procedures I need to do for the port. But then I still have one other surgery that I still have left to do, which I'll be making a phone call on that later today, to see if I can get that set up. But I need to wait to get upstairs before I can upstairs and see the team up there before I can contact the other doctor to figure out when they're going to do the procedures to fix my foot, which got broken many years ago, and it partially fused in such a way that walking becomes unbearable for me. So it's like one thing after another. My doc back in St. Vincent called me a walking miracle. He called me a walking miracle that needs to be studied. My doc here calls me his unicorn patient because my body just doesn't do the normal. Testing is never normal. None of my stuff is normal standards. So I'll give you guys the example again, temperature. Most people, the average bear is like 98.6 or higher, or a little bit lower. My temperature is 96.8. That is my normal, you're healthy, you're fine body temperature. So I would like to see that again. I would love to be back to 96.8. I would love to be healthy enough to where I can exercise and get this weight off of me, which I've regained. I lost weight and regained the weight because of just all these illnesses and stuff that I got going on. So again, thank you guys for what you've done. Thank you for helping out. And please, 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 people, please donate and continue to help me and my daughter and I get me better and get me back to finish out medical school. because this is a lifetime goal that I've had since I was a kid. And it's one of the most easier ways for me to be able to give back and do something that I have a passion for. Because as a person that suffers from chronic illnesses, I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to be out there supporting and advocating for patients and helping them get better and helping them get into the same style of mindset so that they're able to persevere and move forward longer, God willing. So thank you guys all. Blessings unto you all. And thank you to those who've donated so far. Continue to help. And this is because of the side effect of the anaphylaxis that I've had. I've had 3 episodes in the last 3 days. So this is the side effect with the voice. Anyways, bye, you guys. Blessings again. Thank you.